Welcome. Today's stream is going to be on TryHack on TryHackMe. This room kind of mimics a more realistic vulnerable web app that has command injection and allows you to kind of try to escape out of that web application portion of it to find yourself in a Docker container to have to escape out of that to get access to the system. So let's get looking at this cool box. So this box is on TryHackMe. It is a challenge box, so there are only two questions, just the user flag and the root flag. So not much guidance on this. I already have the box started up, so we'll do our normal process of things. We'll go ahead and put our box IP address into our targets file. And then we can use that to scan. So we're going to do nmap input list targets. We're just going to do a quick scan. I'll put all formats, call it init. We'll call that TryHack. Go ahead and split this window. So right away we get back 21, 22, and 80. We'll go ahead and make this go in a more depth scan. We'll put the FTP scripts and HTTP scripts on there. Okay, so we're gonna do advanced detection, OS detection. We can put service version in here too. Then we're invoking the script engine to run the default category, the vuln category, the version category, every script that has FTP at the beginning and HTTP at the beginning. Then we're putting a timeout limit on our scripts for 2 minutes, and then output all formats into script detail TryHack. So that should give us our XML and greppable and just text-based. We'll also go ahead and get the more just full port scan kicked off at the same times too. Let's kick that off. We can put that 2-level verbosity. Okay, so we got both of our more detailed scans kicked off. We can let those run in the background. We did, get back port 80, so we can see what we get from port 80 and see if there's anything that we can glean out of the website. Okay, so the website looks like a little kind of game info, gaming sports site. Has an index HTML page. There's matches, there's blog. Doesn't look like the test functionality works. There's a login function, but that doesn't look like it goes anywhere. Same thing with the registration function. So the only other additional pages are the about the team and such that were on the top bar here. So we're looking to see if this gives us any type of like blogging platform or anything like that. We're not seeing anything sticking out, made by WordPress or anything. So we can go back to the main page. Can maybe look at the source code and see if there's anything in there. So we see there's some comments. Looks like it's very commented. So there's someone's tag there maybe. But again, this is not giving us like if it's a certain blog platform or anything. Alright, so we need a little bit more information on this. We can see that our more thorough port scan finished, and again, we're still stuck with this 21, 22, and 80. This script scan's running. What we go ahead and can do is go ahead and get GoBuster running and Nikto so that we can start looking at the web application in that way, looking for those leftover files or hidden directories that we're not seeing. And then we'll go and look at the FTP site. So again, we're trying to have something running while we're doing this other more manual type stuff. So we're putting in the medium word list from dirbuster. We're just going to output this into our same directory that we're currently saving our files. And then we also want to get Nikto started. Nikto takes a little bit more, it's a little bit more intense, but it does come out with some good results. Okay, so now we got those two running. While that runs, let's go back and let's see what's up with our FTP. Oh, our detailed script scan finished, so let's look at that first, and then we can jump over, because the script scan will give us more information. Okay, so for FTP, we do have 3.0.3, so that's not the vulnerable version of VSFTPD. That's the vulnerable version is that 2.6 around that, so that's not going to work. We did for our port 80 identify Apache. Really, that's about it. So it really didn't give us too much in there. It didn't look like it ran the FTP anonymous or anything like that, like it should have. So let's see if we can do FTP into the website. So again, if you haven't seen this trick before, what I'm doing is a bash enter command. So anytime you put a $sign and open parentheses, a bash will execute this command first, replace the results inside that from that command here, and then run the rest of your line. So this saves you remembering your targets, or again staying on task, and kind of including that ability to use that stuff over and over again. All right, so I put in anonymous, and then I put in for the password IE at, or user at IE. That's one of the ones, usually if you just put anonymous in any password, that works if it's an anonymous FTP login. So one of the things that, again, you want to do whenever you're on FTP is, a majority of the time people are used to Linux, and they just do ls, which will list out the directories, but if there are anything hidden, you will miss that. And so doing a dir-a is a better habit to get into when you're doing FTP. And you'll notice the differences here that you don't see the dot dots, but if you do a dir-a, you do see the dot dots. So again, just something to kind of get in the habit of doing when you're doing FTP. So we're going to get this note text file. We're going to go ahead and make a loot directory. We'll move that note.txt file into that loot directory, and we'll look at it here in a second. We're also going to try like a directory traversal backwards. So again, we do have the option of dot dot and dot. And so sometimes if the char routing of the FTP directory is not set up correctly, you can do a cd dot dot, and it'll say that it's successfully changed, and it might actually change out of that directory. Majority of the time, the newer FTP programs have this set correctly, but I have seen it in the past where that was not set, and that you had the ability to kind of escape out of that directory. All right. So that looks like we're not getting anywhere with that dir command, and the only thing on there is a note file. So we can exit out of that. We'll go ahead and clear our terminal, clear this terminal, and let's look at our loot directory. So we did pull down that note file. We do see a note text. Arndo told me that there is some filtering on strings being put in the command apar. Okay, so now we have two different users that we know of. So let's go back to our GoBuster and Nikto and see if we have anything that kind of leads us to do anything more with these web applications. So the first thing we'll look at is GoBuster. Again, GoBuster is just looking at directories and seeing if we find any hidden directories that seem, that are different or whatever. So we see images, so we could go to images and see what that looks like. And we get a directory listing. So this is a directory listing of all the images. So not helpful in this case. We do see a CSS and JS. Oops. So again, CS, here's all their CSS. So again, these are things that you could kind of look for client-side vulnerabilities. Again, not really going to help out to get a foothold on the server. JS is all their JavaScript. Again, these are something that like you can maybe look at and find stuff for a bug bounty type situation. Might get a little funny. You got fonts. Fonts for the website. And then the last one is secret. So let's see what secret is. Okay, so secret just says command and then execute, which is interesting. So we could try executing a command. All right, so we have some kind of backdoor, it looks like. We did the ID command. We are a UID of 33, group ID of 33, and in the groups 33, all www data. So that's the generic user for Apache, which would match back to our scanning, what we found before. Okay, so with command injection and stuff, we want to have an idea where we're at, so we can run some commands. We see that we're in var www HTML secret. We could try to do a cd and then :ls. Okay, so we do see that there are some HTML direct files here. Contact PHP. So the reason I catted that contact PHP folder file is to see the source code of that PHP to see if there's anything maybe we can find. So we see it assigning some stuff. There's a lot of slashes in here, so okay. So it doesn't really look like it's doing too much. Every one of these lines I see is basically a slash in front of it, so okay. Oh, so that's interesting. So before we were doing CD, right? And then I was using another command after that. So by typing ls, we basically triggered something. So if we do a CD slash or CD dot, which is the same directory, and do an ls, will that work? And it does. Okay, so we can bypass that that restriction by just putting something in front of our ls command there. It almost looked like. And so in our current directory, the var www HTML secret, we see an images directory and an index PHP. And so the index PHP is the one that we're using basically right now. So we could look at, let's see if we can view the page source of this. So it's not really showing too much here. Blow that up real quick. Let's see if we can actually directly access the index page. Okay, so we're on the index page here. Will we see anything in the source? Nope, not really. So we kind of want to, understand what is running underneath the hood here. And so we'll do that same trick that we did before, the cd dot slash cat index dot php. And you'll notice that the page kind of acted funny, and there's now two execute commands. But what's happening underneath is we are seeing the actual PHP code now. So the first half is the original, what gets basically spat out, right? And then because it's executing the command that we told it put out the actual PHP code that it would normally do, kind of in there. And so that's kind of why it looks funny on the main page, but it doesn't look funny now when we view the source. And so what the application's doing is it created a blacklist, and it's looking for certain commands. and it's only looking for those in that very specific way. I almost wonder, this says ls, if it would allow me to do capital LS. It's not triggering on capital LS. It's just triggering on LS, which doesn't work, but it's interesting to see that. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at commands that are getting basically piped into shell execute here, and these commands are not allowed to be done. But we saw that's easily bypassed by putting something in front of the command or after the command, like I did with the ls. So even if I just did semicolon ls, that didn't work. But if I did ls dash semicolon, that worked. So we're able to get around that by putting something in front of that command. And so in Linux, by putting the semicolon, you're just executing multiple commands at the same time. So this is great and all, but we want to get access to this system, and that's where we're going to end up having to need to do like a reverse shell. So we can see if netcat is on there. So it detected that I said which NC, so let's do that again. Let's do which NC, but then we'll do the semicolon. And it's been NC. So we can execute netcat. Let's see how this is going to work. So we'll do, all right. So this is Niktos found CSS, secret, images, things like that. Icons, readme. All right, so we want to listen on, no, I want to use that RT, what was it, RTL, something like that, netcat. RTL and then netcat. What this was is that it basically started a netcat that already had the TTL attached, or TTY. There's the netcat one. We could also spin up Metasploit and catch the shell that way too. There's SoCat. All right, that's fine. Netcat LVMP, LVNP. We'll put it on. Let's go all fives. Okay, so we're listening on to that port 555. If again, anytime you're in TryHackMe now, your IP address ends up appearing up top here. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to do a bin and C, and then we just need it to connect to our IP address and port number. 10.2. 12 and 219 and 15555. So they're piping bin sh into netcat, so we could do that. There's a -e too that I think I want to use. That's what I was looking for. Yeah. So that's Windows. E bin bash. So it might flag on the bin bash. We're going to have to see if that's going to work. Okay, that did not. We also did not get anything. All right, let's make sure we have all our commands correctly. We want to run netcat IP port ebin bash. Okay, that's correct. So it looks like we got a connection. So it printed out whatever I put in there. So we're trying to shovel a shell basically from there. So what they did before is they did bin bash, piped it over to bin netcat 10 to 12 and then 219. And then our port. Let's see if that works that way. So it has a connection, but we're not. See, it's just printing the stuff that we got here. So let's try this a different way. We'll do a different type of shell, reverse shell. So we know that we can do certain commands. So we'll do another one is just the pure bash reverse shell. So this one executes bash, and then in Linux everything's a file system. So what you're doing here is you're putting you're having bash run this command, which is bash, and then interactive, and then piping it to a file descriptor that's in dev TCP, and then you put in the IP address of wherever you need this to communicate to. So what this is actually doing is almost like at a raw type level, using Linux to kind of talk to the system via TCP. So you put that in there, and then you put the port number, and then you're putting your standard in, and that's getting piped to standard out that way. Okay, so let's see if this works. And if not, what we might do is just put that command into a script that it downloads and executes that way. Okay, so we're not seeing anything happening. We would have got the connection notice if it did connect. So we'll try to stop this and see if we can just get the index page back up. Alright, so we still got the index page. Alright, so let's get a little bit more creative with this. So we're going to make a directory called payload. We're going to cd into that directory. We're going to create a script, whatever we need to run basically on the system here. And so in that script, what we'll do is we'll just call this all right. And we can put whatever reverse shell we want in here. We do know that we have netcat. Again, we don't know if we can bind to a port, and it looked like pushing the port is not gonna, didn't work out to us. Let's just grab a reverse shell. Ooh, it's harmful. There's the netcat bin sh1. We'll try this again since we know it's on there. Again, we need to put in the correct shell and such, so we know this has been bash. We want it to connect to the correct port. To 12.219. We'll do all fives again. So now what's going to happen is that we're going to download this script, have it execute it, basically almost like in line, and that will create the session, and that should get past the filters and stuff like that that we're having issues with. So we're saving that. We're going to end up hosting this Python 3m http.server. Okay. Then we want our netcat LV MP 55555. Okay, so then that should be listing here. That'll just give us an extra command in case we need it. All right, so now on the web server, what we're going to do is we're going to run another command, and that's going to be curl. So what we're going to do is curl the command and then pipe that straight into bash. So curl our IP address. That's going to be on 8000. Okay, we see that it pulled it. We did not get an execute. All right, let's try this a different way. So I'm just putting a slash here to see if that can escape the character and work, basically. We are getting it pulled. We see that it's pulling. All right, let's edit that file and see if we can get something else running. See if we can do a ps aux command. See if that will let us know. Ooh, that looks horrible. Oh. So we're going to try wget to see if it'll pull it. So wherever it's pulling it, it's not pulling it into that directory. Alright, let's change the file and see if we can get it to go that way. Maybe it's not liking that it's in bin bash and that we put the standard actual what you should put in an sh file. We'll just put the command instead of that. Okay, so that's there. Let's try the curl command again. So we're getting the file pulled, but nothing still. Let's try a different one. Let's try that bash shell that we were trying to do before. If not, I might just double check to make sure I have the correct IP address. so bash command dun 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 dev. Yep. Okay, so that looks good. Let's try that. Okay, that's hanging up a little bit. Sweet. So we're in. So just manipulating what kind of shell that would get called and stuff like that. We see our command shell down here now. So again, who am I? We're www data. So we have an interactive shell, which is great. This is what we wanted. All right, so now that we're on the box, we need to go and see what we can do and get more information about this box. So let's clear that up and clear this. Okay, the term environment variable is not set, so I can't do clear on there, but that's fine. So if we do ls, we see that we're again in that images index.php directory. Let's get our favorite tool on here. We can maybe cd into temp and put that in there. Yeah, so nothing's in temp. So cd opt tools. This is again something I personally put on my machine. You would have to put this on your own system. It wouldn't be there. But the privilege escalation awesome script suite contains linps, and that's what we're going to use on this box is to see what our ability to privilege escalate or get past this is. So we're going to do Python 3-m. Again, we're just spinning up the HTTP server to serve up files in this directory so that we can get them off.